TNT Radio. TNT Radio.
Over to the south of Ireland now. Fully furnished, brand new modular homes have been given to asylum seekers despite huge local opposition. 14,000 homeless Irish citizens apparently will never be given free housing, it seems, while Irish citizens are made to be feeling voiceless, I'm told. Here to talk more about this is friend to the show, Dr. Ian Lenihan. Dr. Lenihan, thanks for coming back to TNT. What's going on? What's the story here?
Yeah, thanks for having me back. It's a pleasure. Since we last spoke, I suppose the newest front in all of this is in Clonmel, County Tipperary. What's happening there is that there's a massive site, 8 to 10 acres of publicly owned land. And the government, again, without consultation of any description with the local community, are putting in 82 modular homes, which will house up to 1,000, they say, Ukrainian refugees. But a local TD, Member of Parliament, Matthew McGrath, has said that he doesn't believe that's the case. It'll be IPAS, meaning unvetted, unknown persons who've been entering the state since May in record numbers. There's been massive local opposition to this. Well, first of all, one issue here is that, as you said, there seems to be no money for Irish homeless individuals, but these modular homes, 82 of them, they were initially priced at 200 and something thousand per unit, which sounded expensive. It's a modular home. It's not a permanent home here. But now this price for these projects have gone up to 407,500 per unit. It's going to be over 30 million euro just to build these units. It's a massive get rich quick scheme, what all of this is happening across the country. So there's a lot of anger with that. But I think this Clonmel one sums up a lot of how the country is feeling here. And there's a couple of elements to it. In May, there was large local protests. These were quite roughly put down by police. There was a couple of arrests. The locals, quite rightly angry at what was happening, they confronted some of the workers there, only to find that many of the workers who were bussed in weren't Irish at all. Then they found out that the local security firm who was brought in were English. It was a private English security firm who were brought in to protect the site. So this was people were feeling, as you can imagine, very, very angry about this. But there's a couple of other cultural elements here too. On the site, there's a 200-year-old cedar tree, which is we believe, going to be cut down to make way. There was a ring fort, which is a Bronze Age, Iron Age settlement, which will be destroyed to make way. The travelling community for decades used to keep their horses on this publicly owned site. These seem like small things, but they're not. All of these brutally pushed aside while being told by what people will see as outsiders, foreign security firms. It feels very much to these people that their culture, their identity, as well as their town, has been taken away from them, and it's been done at the end of the Gardaí or the policeman's baton. So it's been highly, highly controversial.
There seems, in my view, to be an irreconcilable difference between what the government in the south of Ireland wants and what the citizens of the south of Ireland want. Is there any way for the citizens to prevail, considering the government's meant to work for them?
We had the local and European elections at the start of the month, and when I was on last, I said that a lot of people will see that as a referendum on this. There was only minor breakthroughs. The problem is that, politically speaking, there's a couple of parties who are coming through who are trying to organise against this, but they're young. They were very naive in the local elections. They often stood on each other's toes and split the vote, so they didn't get as much representation as they would like. But the bigger problem, and we saw this during that election, was that the government is working completely hand in glove with the media. The media are building an information firewall around everything that's happening. So what we see is that if you were to talk to somebody in their 60s, say, or 70s back, in west of Ireland or whatever, about, hey, have you heard what's happening in Clonmel? They would have no clue. The media is not reporting on a lot of this. So we have a large section of the population that just has no clue what's happening. And then we have another section of the population who's feeling disenfranchised, who's feeling increasingly angry, who sees this cozy relationship between media and government, and who are getting increasingly angry. So this, you are correct there to say that a lot of people are feeling there can be no healthy outcome to this because the government is just ramming through with this process. So, for example, it all went very quiet during the local elections. Obviously, they didn't want any risk that this might derail the government project. But the only reason people knew about what was happening in Clonmel was because a whistleblower came to Matty McGrath. He's the local MP. So the TD, but he in Tipperary, he's an independent. He's been very good on holding the government to account. But that was back in April. What he said everything that would come to pass here, that they were going to take this site, they were going to put in 82 modular houses. He also said, and this is important, that it was going to be IPAS. So again, that they were going to be putting in these unvetted migrants who've been pouring into the country over the past few months, whereas the government has said it's going to be Ukrainian refugees. Nobody believes the government anymore. But the RTE, so the national broadcaster, the equivalent of the BBC over there, they only reported on these facts and didn't even give all of these facts at the start of this month. You know, so again, they're downplaying everything. They're slow playing everything so that when these projects suddenly pop up in localities, there's nothing that people can do, and the government aren't consulting with people. So what happened there in Clonmel, there was damage done to some machinery one night. There was a scuffle between locals and and some workers there, which was put down by the police. It's very much like what happened in Newtown Mount Kennedy, that the government seems intent on pushing people's backs to the wall until they're left with no other options, and that's a very, very dangerous situation.
To quote a well-worn song, when it's under their noses in Dublin, then it's easy to report, but literally it's a long way to Tipperary. So presumably a lot of the time this doesn't percolate back into the mainstream media because they're able to bury it if they want to. And this collusion you took, go on.
Apologies for interrupting you.
No worries.
I don't want to sound conspiratorial here either, but the government is one of the largest. There's a study that came out recently that shows the government is one of the largest sponsors of the media here in Ireland in terms of taking out advertising revenue. The biggest job that any reporter in Ireland, remember Ireland, you know, it's a small place, 5 million people now, but you know, 10 years ago it was 4 million. It's a small place, and so there isn't a lot of, you know, high flying jobs out there. The best job that a reporter can get is as an advisor to the government or to a government minister. Then you're getting a €100,000 plus wage per year, which is something that your average journalist can only dream about. And so there's this concerning pipeline of journalist to government advisor that's going on. And so there is no incentive for any journalist in the mainstream media here in Ireland to go against the government, and they're not.
That's one reason why you can trust me, Dr. Lenihan, because I'm unemployable. So I have to stay here. Thanks very much indeed, Dr. Lenihan. No doubt there'll be developments on this story. If you've got some views on that, go into the chat as well.